Welcome to today's lesson. My name is Dave from the School of Guitar and we're going to get straight into it. So here's the setup. Today we're talking and learning about what happens when you find a song that you want to learn and it's too difficult for you, or perhaps that you have songs on your list and you keep finding them and they keep seeming like they're too advanced, or you just don't sound like the song, or there's struggles in the songs and it seems like you've no option. It's either you learn the song or you don't. Now, there is a nice little secret gap in between where you currently are and where the song needs to be played. And I'm going to share 3 steps today that are going to help you bridge the gap and give you some flexibility and freedom in between both of these places. So let's get into it. Today is really about tactics. I will have my guitar beside me here. I play Baby Taylor, but I'm giving you tactics and strategies because without them, you could have your guitar, I could have my guitar, and nothing's going to work. So I'm just laying down the groundwork here just to let you know. I do have Ultimate Guitar up here on another screen. I will bring it up. And I have my board here as well that I'll be sketching the ideas on. Right, let's get into it. So the very first thing about picking a song is basically that you might have to shelve it for now. And when I wrote down this step, I thought, for you watching this, you'll go, this guy is telling me to shelve it instead of teach me how to simplify it. But hear me out. Here's the setup. With the song, well, let's say with the, just give me 1 sec. There we go. With shelving the song, I just want to say one thing. It's because there are 3 primary song types for guitarists at any given time. There's the instant songs that you learn with the chords you already have, and they work fine. Then there's the someday soon songs. These are songs that you're going to get, not today, not tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe in a month. They're on a smaller time horizon. Now, the third type of song is someday in general. Someday I wish, right? These are like the songs where you'd pick up guitar in the first place and you think, I would love to know how to play Dire Straits. I would love to know how to play Stairway to Heaven. And you can't see the steps to get there. Now, does that mean you should put them out of your mind or you can't get to work on them? No, you can totally learn some aspects of those songs. But when you begin to think about songs in these 3 categories, when you shelve them, it gives you a healthier relationship with your expectations, that you can go, well, this one won't happen anytime soon, but it's in my mind. Rather than be a yes or no thing with your songs where you go, I can play this or I can't, and I need to simplify it. So, hope that makes sense. That is the first thing about shelving it. Now, the second option, if you really don't want to shelve it, is to turn it into a project. And that's where I would give you the first point. Now, what do I mean by project? I mean, when I began learning guitar first, I was 12 and I learned off other kids in my class. There was no teacher yet. And one would come in and show us a bit of this and a bit of that, and we'd share ideas. And I realized, looking at didn't know there was a name on the 3 songs, but looking at the idea of taking a project, I realized that, well, if I do this part of the project of the song and work on it, and I expand it out over a long enough time, and the way I think about the song is a project, well, there's not many projects, I don't know about you, but there's not many projects we look at them and go, I'm going to bang that project out in one night. Like, unless it was school. Tried that a few times. But you know what I mean? It's that it takes longer and we break it down and we find the parts we need to complete to do the project. And by the way, if you struggle with bar chords, that's what I suggest as well. Break it into a project. So with the song, you could turn it into a project, right? So that is the first step to simplifying your songs. It's think of it as a project and expand it out over a longer time horizon. Now, the second thing I want to share is with a song, how we break it down. So with any song, I'll do this here. It's 50-50. 50% will come from our chords or whatever we're at. Now, today I'm talking specifically about chord songs. And the other 50% will come from your pick hand. Now, your pick hand could be at strumming. It could be like, if it was a riff, it could be picking. Or perhaps if you dropped the pick, it's finger picking. So, with these two areas then, now we've gone from taking a song into a project to looking at a song and suddenly turning the attention to our hands. And when you do that, when you begin to do that, you begin to look at your hands going, well, do I need to simplify both? Or do I simplify one? And sometimes when you simplify one, that's enough. It's just enough to go, well, the chords are really tripping me up, so I'm going to do something about that. And it makes your strumming life easier. Or you flip it around and you're like, oh, great, there's G, C, and D in this song. But you look at your strum and you go, oh, it sounds so mechanical. What do I do? And by the way, I do a video about how to sort a mechanical strum if it sounds tight and it doesn't feel musical in 5 steps. I'll link it below this video. But moving into this part. So now we're looking at our two hands and it's like 50-50. So what do we do next? Well, basically, I'm going to begin by looking at the chords. And I'm going to say that with chords, we primarily have two problems. The first problem could be with the chord type. Okay, that could be like if there's a stinker of a bar chord in it. Or if it's an open chord, you could be learning in the beginning and going, well, C is a problem for me. You know, I don't like C. So basically, it'd be the chord type or the chord extension. Let me explain what extensions are now. Extensions are just 1 degree off the original chord. So with the G chord, that's a regular chord. G7 would be an extension of the G chord, right? So it's just another type of chord. Now, when there's things to do about both of these options, so I'm going to break it down here. Sorry, I'm going to break the tech. So with this option, we just got to watch out. So I'm going to begin by sharing with you. And even if you're looking at this going, I don't know, I don't need that thing. Just keep an open ear and an open mind, because when I was learning, I'd look at certain aspects of playing and I'd always ask the question, is this a problem I have right now? Or is this a problem I could have down the line? And I'd basically just take it in. So when the problem came up, at least you'd have a bit of an idea about maybe the topic to broach. So if it's the bar chord, one option you can do is turn the song into a capo song. Now I'm going to go to the board here and I'm going to share with you how I do that. Yes, I went to the right board. I'm going to pick Hotel California. And I'm looking for a specific version just to let you know. Okay. So, do you see the way? Give me 1 sec. There we go. Found the one. Now, if you play bar chords, you might go, I know some of these. But if you don't, it's like, well, what's B minor? What's F sharp 7? To simplify a song like this, down at the bottom, if you use Ultimate Guitar on a laptop, on a browser, you see the transpose button. You can hit -1 or +1. And the idea here is that you keep pressing it. It's like, kind of like playing the slots in Vegas. Shout out to the gamblers. But basically, you can hit it and you'll go, that one looks a bit better. So see the way all of a sudden now we've gone from A minor, E7, G, and we'll ignore the fact that you might be looking at the 7s because those are the extensions I'll speak to in a minute. But now it feels a bit easier. So that's one of the steps. It's to go on Ultimate Guitar. If you're noticing bar chords in it, hit the transpose button until you find a bunch of chords that you're like mostly familiar with, that you go, well, I know most of those, or that they don't seem as bad as the other one. we're always looking for the ease in the simplification of it. So, and that way you can put on a capo and play. And that's our transpose. Now, the next thing is, if there's sevens, if there's sus4s, sus2s, you may have seen these on your guitar travels on your journey. Or if, for example, if you don't even know what they are right now, that's okay. Keep in mind the whole thing of, well, what'll happen when you do meet them. So, there is a thing here, an option on Ultimate Guitar called the Easy button. Well, it's called the Simplify button. And before I press it, I'd like to draw your attention to one or two of the things here on the screen. Look at all the sevens. Right? Now, back in the days of old, before there was technology, the general rule was, if a song had a 7, a sus4, a sus2, just strip it away from the chord and play what's left. So, in this case, you'd play E, D, E. You get the picture? Now, watch what happens when I hit simplify. It does what we said. Right, so now think about our journey. We had this, and we turned it into, we simplified, turned it back to. Now you might be wondering, well, that's cool, but how do I know how many of the transpose button to hit? And that's where I'd be like, it's kind of like Vegas, keep playing until you win. Well, no, that's terrible advice. Actually, don't do that. So, do you see here, I hit this. It's like, what are all those? Not too bad. So you basically run through it until you find it. So that's that step. So we've gone to retrace your steps. We've gone from taking a song and going, well, this will be a project, so I'm going to have more patience and it'll take longer and I'll find out the moving parts to it and accomplish them, to or also shelving it because it could be a someday I wish. The project is more the someday soon. And if it's a song you can do instantly, this isn't a conversation. Now, the next thing is, but you obviously have songs, that's why you're here. The next thing was to look at your hands and think of them in 50%. And we spoke about simplifying your chords. The chords could be simplified by type. So if you met a bar chord, you know what to do, the transpose. And if you met an open chord, you could simplify. Right, those are the two key points. And the thing about this is, working these songs, it's also a skill. Sometimes on guitar, you may think of skills as your strumming, your finger picking, your chords. But the other things that make a great guitarist is knowing how things work. And to know how things work, there's knowledge involved, but there's also skills. And this is a skill because we're taking actions. And like any skill, it'd be a bit boring if you got it straight away. If everything was easy all the time and everything made sense. So keep that in mind. Just put this into practice. Pick one or two songs and I'll have action items for you at the end. So the next thing, we're going to take a look at. So we're going to take a look at, sorry if the mic dropped there for a sec. We're going to take a look at the extensions I spoke to, and basically there's one thing here I want to say about the extensions, right? You can simplify or leave them out. So I'll just switch boards, sorry. You can simplify or leave them out. What I'm talking about there is that basically we've done the simplification, but maybe you simplify and it's still not nice. Well, in that case, some songs, not every song, but this will be for you to experiment with, just leave out the chord. Keep playing the previous chord. Sometimes that works, and it's just another strategy, right? Now, sorry. The next thing then is, I have my trusty list down here, right? The next thing we want to look at is the songs. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So when you look at songs then, let's just say you've traveled through, you've turned into a project, it's 50-50, and we'll get to what to do with this hand in a moment. With the songs then, you've picked your song, but it comes down then to how you practice it, right? So when it comes to practice it, there's two things to keep in mind, and they're two separate blocks. A lot of players think in this block, and the gold is found in this block. Before we do that, I'm going to go basically to this section here, how to simplify your strum. And I'm specifically picking a strum for today. So with the strum, what we want to do, we want to take a look at what the pattern is. And this hand, when you think about it, it's always patterns. You learn a strum pattern and you rotate it around and around and around. Whereas the chords keep changing, keep changing, keep changing. Now, with the strum, if we had this strum here, that's our classic down, 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 up, down. If that was causing you problems, you simplify it by a degree. And this is where I can't go to ultimate guitar so much, because I don't know how you found it, but sometimes the rhythms aren't up there. It's like, it's hard to know how they go. So what you do is you do basic beats first. Basic beats first. What do I mean? I mean that you'll basically do all downs. And when you simplify one hand, it gives you permission to put more focus on the other hand. So I'm gonna grab the guitar. It's time. So if I was doing this, and that was happening. Right, now I do all downs. And the other key thing you notice there, I slow down. And that would be a foundational thing as well. To go so slow that you have space and time to think, right? So that can help. And you see there's not a part of me that's looking down at my strum hand going, God, I hope I get this right. It's fine. That way you can put your focus here. Okay, so you simplify the pattern. Now, let's get this up one more time. So, because of that then, we're taking a look at doing the beats, doing the chords. And it'll be the same for a picking pattern, just slowed right down, pick the riff, pick the intro, whatever you're picking, and the same with the finger picking. Now, down to our songs, and this is our final step, all right? And thanks for sticking so far. I do have an entire assessment done. If you're a guitar player basically you're struggling with something and you kind of have an idea of what's going wrong, but at the same time you're like, I don't know, it's not improving or I'm having problems. I have a beginner blind spot assessment. Okay, I'm going to link it below. And when you take this assessment, it takes like, I think on average, I'm seeing 50 to 60 seconds when you go through it. And it's like the conversation we'd have if you came in here to my teaching room. And within that, you're going to find out what your unique blind spot is. And I send you a PDF lesson report. It's a guide. There are around 9 pages. There's diagrams. You'll find your action steps. And also, I have a lesson prepared for you to solve this blind spot that would be unique to you with your playing. So if you want to check that out after this lesson, the link is below. Now, the next thing is we got our songs, and this is our third and final point. With our songs, the first thing is thinking about all the song. And that kind of speaks to our black or white thinking. It's not working. It's working. I got the song. I didn't get sung. And like the project idea, you can have projects within projects. I'm going to ask you to begin to think about your song like this. And when we do this, and you begin to switch mindset, it begins, instead of being one section, it's 4 different sections. So because of this, we'd have our intro, we'd have our verse, we'd have our chorus, and we'd have our bridge. So now when I begin to look at it, there's our 4 areas, and you can dip into any one area here, but the most important one to dip into is the easiest one. Why? Because you want to start with the easy one, so you build momentum, so you build belief that you're getting it, so that you go into the next section, you feel more confident, you're more likely to stick with it and push through it. Okay? So, and for a lot of players, it'll depend. It'll go for be the one with the easiest chords, or, this is unusual, the most well-known part. Why the most well-known part? Because if you're most familiar with the music part of it, it's going to be in your ears, and what's in your ears is easier to play on the guitar. Think of a song that you absolutely hate, but you know the words of, and that you know how it goes, and that you've never chosen to listen to. It's just on the radio everywhere. Like, that's the power of music just going into our ears. So for you, with the song that you actually like, when you go at that section, that can really help. Now, so that's that, right? So you'd break it down, go to the easy section first. Now, let's have a quick recap, and I'm going to give you your action steps before I let you go. So it goes like this. Project, that's our someday soon, or else we shelve it. So that way we're not swimming against the tide. Sometimes we put our raft in the wrong river, going the wrong way. Then you look at it, you zoom out, you go, there's chords, and there's my pick hand. If you want to simplify the patterns, basic beats first, or this could also look like it was a more difficult strum pattern for you, it's to play an easier version of that strum pattern. You know, try other ones that you can already do. And if it's chords, we said you can go on ultimate guitar, you can simplify it to a capo song from bar chords, or if it's 7 sus4s, simplify. The extension, you can also leave them out. And all the while, you do it with the song, and you break the song into sections. Now, this is where I'm going to share with you a quick story, and this is going to make all the difference. I had an amazing teacher, and I wasn't the only student of that teacher that I knew. And that teacher would have taught all of us differently, but some of the things were the same. We're taught the same thing. Now, when a teacher teaches something to a student, I've been teaching 20 years. I know this. I only have control over the environment of the lesson. Once the student goes out the door, if it's an in-person lesson, or if you're inside my membership, it's basically that I don't know what you do once we get off the call, or once you leave the video you watch. And it's in those little moments that players, you have your own time, and of course you go practicing and you're working from the suggestions of your teacher. So if we had a lesson inside our membership, I would give you action steps. And that's my hope, that you take the action steps. But if 5 different players are given the same action steps, do you think that all 5 players are going to follow them exactly? Or do you think that maybe, because we're creative human beings, that guitar players, you'll begin to try your own things, and you might put your own spin on it, and that's all part of the game. Like, and similar with me and my friends, when we learned, our teacher taught us some similar things at times, but we went home, we all found our own way of making it work. So for you, where this goes is as follows. These are my suggested steps. But you could watch this and you might go, you know what? I think I'll just try the breaking the song down into sections thing. And just like, I could spend 4 days at a verse and just see how that goes. Maybe that'll help. And that could be perfect for you. Maybe you'll just take a strum pattern and simplify it and keep everything else the same. So try this, give a go to the rest, and if you wish to pop a comment below, let me know what you're going to use this on, and check back in 30 days and let me know how it's going. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen the channel. I respond to 99.9% of comments, unless it's people writing me nasty stuff, which has happened, which is kind of funny too. But anyways, so I'll leave that there. Thanks so much for taking this lesson today. My name's Dave. I'm from theschoolofguitar.com, and I'll see you in the next lesson real soon.